Hi everybody, my name is Anurag Singh, and today I'm going to speak on a topic that is control the communication and you can control the people communicating. The story never gets old. All our history textbooks teach us that the Allied powers won the World War II. But this is not the only reality. The reality is that they have controlled the communication. What actually happened when Nazi Germany was winning from all over the sides? Fortunately, the Allied forces somehow tapped or hacked, encoded the Enigma machine, by which they knew about the communication of Germany, the plans and everything about the Germany, Nazi Germany, and by that they captured Germany. They busted the plans, and this is partially true. The most glorifying fact was conveniently omitted to make the better story. What actually happens is that whenever we are the protagonist of our story, what we do, we just put the good things in that. Like we can take examples from the past kings, from the Britishers or the kings, that their poets, the writers, their autobiographies. If you read that, you will find out that they have controlled the communication. They have only wrote things that are really good and great about them. They do not wrote about things that are not good for them. So by which they are changing the narrative nowadays, as we know that Mughals are not that good. They plundered India, but the way they control the communication, the way they control the books written in that nowadays shows that they are really good. They are really great kings. Now, the above anecdote exemplifies the importance of communication is in controlling the life of people, but the nation, but not only the people, but the nation itself. It is for the reason Sun Tzu says, order is not created by the force, but by forcing the right communication. In this essay, we would first explore the meaning of control and how communication is achieved. It is subsequently we would discuss the ways by which we control exercise and its effects on spatio-temporal history. Lastly, we would be talking about the ways to ameliorate the negative impact. Yuval Noah Harari, in his book Homo sapiens, tried to explore the reasons for the dominance of the human as a species over the earth, and he come to know that the reason is that the human being can communicate. They can communicate effectively by storytelling, the fictional characters, and all these things. Because of that, they are superior to the other species on the earth. Humans are unique because they have the capacity to communicate and exchange their thoughts to a large amount of information in the limited space and time. It has helped humans to hunt in savannas, well-built large monopolies and send men to the moon and complex civilizations. This power of communication also controls the internal relations that humans have, especially superficially control refers to the influencing the behavior of and actions of the individual against the will. Michael Focus expands the above by stating the control over an action, but over his mind. In both the endeavors, communication adds to that compliance is better than the resistance, which ultimately establishes alternative solution. History is replete with examples of support in ancient India as well as in Middle Europe. The divine rights of the king was ordained. People had to obey the decision of the king not because the decision was of the king, but because of the merit, the communication, the control about the narratives, because they are represented as God on earth. For example, nowadays the British has king or the queen. They are seen as the God on the earth. The principle of controlling the communication also exists at the level of society, whereby various transitions based on the culture, religion, textbooks are created by control sections of the population. Take example of the caste system in India. where certain population are considered untouchables because of the communication of Rig Veda, 10th mandala, and Parusa of the same. They witnessed the went into the white mass burden resulting in the racism against. Communication are not only controlled by the historians, culture, but also by the so-called scientific discourse. Sigmund Freud, in his psychosis, attributed like the panis envy and catastrophe complex to showcase the docile nature of the women. This has further elaborated the perpetual marginalization of women where they are confined to the household, resulting in a wide gender gap, that is, Global Gender Gap Report. And Simon's Beauvoir, the second sex, stating one is not born rather than one is made woman. The counseling of the communication is not restricted to the physical exchange but has not translated into the virtual. Oliver Henderson, in his book Social Detox, highlights how social media today is controlling the lives of the people, from spreading fake news, propaganda, military coup in China. They have all made people worried about all these situations. Nowadays, as the social media algorithms control communication, people tend to follow these and then get misguided by the information. Nowadays, we are also not only for the individual but for controlling communication to control the individuals and the nations. State control the soft power. The controlling communication is justified by the Iraq war, where US has invasion of the Afghanistan and Iran. If we take the recent example of the Operation Sindoor, where Pakistan is using propaganda, the cyber warfare, they are trying to control the communication by giving the false news and narratives of Indian defense forces to break the confidence of the leaders and the citizens of our country. So this is also an example attributed to the controlling communication to control the people communicating and the narrative. As each and every of the coin has two sides, so it has also two sides. That controlling the communications benefits people. The Indian Constitution is a classical example that providing the fundamental rights, fundamental duties, fundamental rights and DPSP to the citizens that provide goodwill to them. But on the other hand, it will be restricting to the communication of the state. Controlling communication is also utilized by the public ordinance administration in myriad ways, from timely information dismantling to the disaster, so that the panic people is controlled. They control communication, they try to calm down people, and then they easily evacuate them from the place, so that no other harm to done to the people. The process of controlling communication also exists in individual level. Communication is necessary, not always involved in exchange of information. It's sometimes involved in the body language. Overall, by the great leaders of the world like Abraham Lincoln, Narendra Modi, Kennedy, all have the charismatic personality and the way they capture the audience, not by the words but by the personality they have, by utilizing the demeanor. In all the above cases, controlling the communication automatically led to the controlling of the people. However, it is not the iron law like sun rising in the east. Such scenarios of the post-Rowlatt Act in India, although British controlled the communication and controlled the media, and that is called fourth pillar of the world. From the above discussion, it is evident that controlling communication to control people is a double-edged sword. All depend on the more wicked than the wielded. The question now arises how to mitigate the negative effect. The first step towards would be to instill the critical thinking of the people, and in a good ethical ways, as Cartesian human dignity Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is a home to achieve above. Sri Ken Robinson argues that we must leave behind the past fast food model of ready-made education and embrace the interactive learning. Today, the world is at the cross level of the beset with problems of climate change, terrorism, protest, etc. If we effectively control the shared narratives based on the common prosperity and one world, one family, perhaps our children would be have glorious future. Thank you. Jai Hind.